Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Missy. Thanks for joining me again for another video. Today's layout is for the Hip Kit Club and I'm using the 2015 October kits again. And this layout was inspired by the October mood board. Hopefully by now you've seen that. It's been on our Facebook Hip Kit member forum and on the blog. And on the mood board there is a really pretty picture of a butterfly. And so I was inspired by that, and so I took several of the pattern papers in the kit and ran it through my Cameo and cut several butterflies. And my idea behind this was to make a light and airy feeling type layout, and so I pulled out a piece of the Light Craft cardstock from the cardstock kit, and I'm just going to trace around where my picture is going to go, and I want to do some mixed media to the background. And sometimes it can be a little tricky when you're using gesso on, cardstock that's not white. So I'm just doing what I usually do here with an old gift card, and I'm smudging around the area where my picture is going to go, because I'm eventually going to come back in with the Prima watercolor pencils from the color kit and do a little bit of color around where my picture is going to be. And so I know that there's a lot of harsh lines here with the gesso, and that's okay because I'm going to fix it up here in a little bit. Now on the right hand side is where all the butterflies are going to go, and so I want to add a little bit of color behind them. And so now I'm just going to use my finger, and I want it to be sort of like a cloudy white effect over there. I didn't want the harsh lines like I have over on the left. So I'm going to use my little water brush there that I got from Michaels and some of these beautiful watercolor pencils. And now that the gesso's dry, I'm just going to start to scribble. And I'm going to go around the perimeter of the picture, and I'm using the light teal color and a darker teal color, and then I'm going to come back in with, it's kind of a light peachy pink. It's going to go with the coral colors in the collection. And these pencils make it super easy. You can't mess this up. You just scribble some of the color down and then take your brush with some water and just go over it, and it instantly smudges. And to me, I think it works a lot better if you have gesso down, because the gesso sort of keeps the color from seeping into the paper, and it just smudges a lot easier. So I'm going to start to use the darker color here and just create some different teal tones, but I still want it to be light. So I spent quite a while doing this because my goal is to try to cover up most of that gesso with color. And I don't record this entire process because it did take me a while. And this is very fun. It's very easy. Just kind of get lost in coloring. And there's, no right or wrong way to do it. You just keep going until you get the desired look that you want. And, you could do this with any collection or any color paper. You could do this with gelatos. But these watercolor pencils, if you got the color kit, then you have these, and they are so awesome. Now, this is the Cracked Pistachio Distress Paint that we got a couple kits ago. And I want to bring in the color mostly. So that's why I'm using this. And it's a little bit thicker because it's a paint. And I'm just kind of dabbing my brush into the paint and then using the brush right onto the paper. And that worked out really nicely because I want it to be super light. I didn't want it to be bold. I just wanted hints of color over here on the right because the butterflies are going to go on top of this. And my idea in my mind was to have the picture on the left and then all of these butterflies sort of in flight on the right. And I know that this is a fall-centered kit, but as you can see, you do not have to create fall layouts with it because the colors are very versatile and you can do a lot of different things with it. And I'm going back in now with the coral, peachy, pinky, whatever color you want to call that. And I wanted to make sure that the teals were dry because I didn't want those two colors to mix because they would not blend together very nicely. And so I tried to keep the coral color separate from the blues and the teals. And this is going to look a lot better once everything is down on top of it and you can just kind of see these hints of color peeking through the butterflies. So now I've got that down, and I'm going to start to play with where I want the butterflies. I got some teal ones, some black and white stripes, wood grain, and then I cut two on the, it's like a pinky peach, it looks like a watercolor background paper. And all these are in the paper kit and the main kit. And then I also have the cutouts, the middles of the butterflies. I did not throw those away because, as you can see, you could also use those as butterflies. But I did not use them on this layout just because I wanted the open butterflies so you could see the color behind it and you could see them open. I do a little bit of layering behind the picture. I didn't want a lot of black on this because, like I said, I wanted it to be light. And so I just wanted hints of black. So I used that black and white striped paper and in little doses. And the butterflies are kind of sticky because when I peeled them off of my sticky mat, you know, you could, yeah, and I kind of got frustrated and just, they kept sticking to my paper and I wasn't ready for them to stick there. So I just kind of shooed them out of the way. And so now I've got them back where I liked them. Almost had a hissy fit, almost. But I calmed down. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of tape to each one just to kind of get them to where they'll stay put. And then I'm going to come back in and stitch through the middle of all of those butterflies. I'm going to add a little bit of tangled thread behind the photo and the layers before I stick that down. And I'm just using some teal thread that I have here. It matches the teals in this collection really nicely. And as you can see, I think it looks a lot better now that I'm starting to put everything down on top of that background. That's one thing I found about creating a mixed media background from scratch is that it tends to look a lot better once you start to add your embellishments and everything, and because sometimes it can look like a hot mess, and then once everything comes together, it looks a lot better. Now I'm taking some of that Jen Hadfield washi tape because the photo, it's not centered, and so there's some empty space on the left, and so I just wanted to add a little pop of coral or that peachy color, and so I just add some washi tape directly onto the picture. And now I'm going to come in with the light teal dotted washi tape and just add a couple strips over to the right. I just wanted to add a little bit of interest to the background, but nothing too crazy. It just kind of blends in and gives a little bit more detail over on the right. Okay, and here's where I did the stitching. I just used white thread, and it's very, very subtle. Up close, you can see it a lot better. And I left a little bit of the string on each butterfly kind of hanging around just so there were various threads showing, just because I liked the way that looked. And now I'm going to use some embellishments, some of the flowers from the die cut, and one of the punched sentiments from that Jen Hadfield paper that's got all of the little squares on it with all of the words. I actually punched these out the very first layout I did for the month and wound up not using them, and so I already had those punched. And I'm using two circles that they both say hello, and at first that kind of bugged me because I didn't want two hellos on here, but then I thought, you know, it doesn't really matter. So I just decided to go with it. And now I'm just playing around with some more little bits and pieces from the kit that I have pulled out, and I'm just gonna see where they go and see what looks good and see what doesn't. I was very, very pleasantly surprised about how those butterflies turned out. I think they look really pretty. And I want to add a little bit of touch of gold over on the left, and so that's from the sticker sheet. It's shiny gold, little sprig of leaves, because I do have a little bit of gold over here on the right. Well, I'm fixing to stick it down right here on top of that hello circle. So there is some gold going on here. And for my title, I'm just going to use these stickers that come on the sticker sheet, Smile. And I didn't want to cover up any of the butterflies, so I didn't want to put the title on the right. So I stuck it down below the picture and did some gold stitching through it, and then some more stitching on top of those two pieces of washi tape over on the right. And now I'm going to pull out this Pink Paisley Memorandum clear sticker sheet or pack and use a couple of these little random stickers here and there. And they all say different things, but I'm mainly using it for little pops of gold. And this one's white, and that one says smile. And the white ones are tricky because, you can't use them on anything light or you won't be able to see it. And so with this being a craft background, I was able to use some of the white ones, and you could still see it. The white ones would be really pretty to do on a dark background. So I'm going to glue a couple more little die cuts from the Pink Paisley Cedar Lane collection here on the right. And then I'm going to add my journaling, and I want it to be straight, so I'm going to use my T-square ruler like I usually do, because I tend to write at an angle if I don't. So if you haven't seen the mood board, make sure you check out the blog, check out the Facebook forum, check out the actual Hip Kit Facebook page, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm just going to add in a couple of splatters here with black color shine, and I think I add some gold color shine as well. And that's going to wrap it up. I really enjoyed making this. It was different for me. I didn't know what I was going to do at first, but once I saw the mood board, it definitely inspired me. And there are lots of pretty pictures on it. So hopefully you will see something on there that inspires you to use your kits in a fun new way. And there's the final page. Let me know if you have any questions about anything regarding this layout or the kits or any of the mixed media, anything. I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you so much to all my subscribers for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.